Unit 2 Economics Regulation at the end of the lesson. You should be able to criticize or defend a government action or involvement in the economy in terms of regulation. Be able to cite an example, give evidence why you like the way that the government regulated the economy, or maybe you think that the government is doing too much, but be able to support evidence in your claims. Safety first versus safety second. Hear a lot about safety first, especially in your labs, as you should. We don't hear as much about safety second. It's often attributed to greedy owners that take advantage of their workers or trick and lie to consumers. There is some validity to that claim, but at the end of the day, a job's got to be done and things have to be produced for our economy to grow. And sometimes you got to bend a little bit, maybe cheat a little bit. You probably know this out there in your own workings, in your own shops, in your own farms. Sometimes you do stuff that's a little dangerous because at the end of the day, you got to get stuff done, because if we follow every regulation and rule, it slows us down. If we get slowed down, we're less productive and the economy hurts. There's a delicate balance between first and safety second, and it's hard to really understand. Ultimately, what we talk about today in government regulation is the difference between command and free, but really we're looking more at these mixed economies where there is some government involvement. It's just a matter of degree. How much does the government regulate the economy? How much does it regulate the markets and every little thing that's happening from households to firms to stores? Is it a lot? Is it heavy? Or is it less? Is it all? Is it none? So governments pass laws, and then through those laws, regulations are created that govern everything in our economy, everything in the markets, everything pretty much in this country. The banks are regulated. They have rules they have to follow. All firms, factories, industries have safety policies, what they can do in terms of the environment, how they treat the workers, whether they put them in safe or unsafe conditions, how many ropes someone has to wear. Everything is written to law, and then there are regulations that are enforced by different agencies following up and making sure that firms and factories are protecting their workers. Every store you go to, there are nutrient labels on the back of every package. You look in the middle of the aisle, you're not seeing tobacco products, you're seeing candy, because there's a regulation that says the tobacco products have to be behind a certain spot. Fast food workers have to follow rules. The owners have to follow rules. There are safety standards that protect not only the workers, but the people consuming those products and make sure that the food is safe and healthy. And there are health inspectors that go around and enforce that law. So the law and then the regulations that follow. There's a delicate balance between the two, and that's really the biggest takeaway. Not that regulations exist or do not exist. It's that they do, but there is a cost and a benefit. Regulations sound great because they protect consumers and workers. But if you overregulate, the regulations become burdensome, they slow down productivity, they cost money, and it ultimately hurts the economy. So do you decide to make things completely free and do your own thing and run the risk of injury? Or do you overprotect and slow growth? So you can lean towards productivity and money and profit and make your laws favorable to the bosses. But then that hurts safety, and then that hurts possibly workers, putting them in unsafe conditions. And it also hurts consumers who are buying products that may not be safe for them. The government ultimately has to decide with the rules and regulation where they lean. And they ultimately try to find a balance where they don't regulate too much. And if they don't regulate too much, the economy can still be productive. But they also want to have some regulation so that workers are in safe conditions. We've seen during times in American history where workers were in more dangerous work environments. Today, they're pretty protected. Are they overprotected to the point that people are less productive? Is there too much safety gear, too much safety rules that then hurts the American economy versus other economies around the world that may be less restrictive, less regulated? Because ultimately, our economy is in competition with other economies. And if ours is overregulated, we're less productive, and then other countries rise up. But on the other hand, in other countries where there's less regulation, consumers often consume, literally, products that may be dangerous to their health. In America, do we regulate it correctly? That's a question to be answered. At the end of the day, you have to follow the policy that we always follow, and there are no solutions, there are only trade-offs. There's no solution to this problem. If you choose safety, then you abandon productivity and you hurt the economy. If you choose the economy and productivity, then you may abandon safety. There are trade-offs. There are costs and benefits. And whatever benefit you get, you have to be willing to pay the cost. You want money? Then maybe people die. You want to protect every single human life? Then you might not make any money. So the laws and regulations try to find the balance in between those two. If you favor productivity, the economy, making as many goods as possible, as fast as possible, maybe throwing out some of those regulations so we can pump out more cars, get rid of some of that safety gear so that the company doesn't have to pay as much and they can make more profit. With more profit, they can hire more workers. Or you say, no. Gear them up. Put on the goggles, put on another pair of goggles. That helmet, let's double it up. We overregulate. We make all these rules. You say it can't work this long or that long. And the guy lives a comfortable life in the factory. But the company doesn't make any money. And then if the company doesn't make any money, then it goes under. And yeah, you're safe, but now you don't got a job. Those are the choices that have to be made. You favor money, you hurt safety. You favor safety, like I just mentioned, you hurt the money. There's a delicate balance. And the government tries to follow those, or at least they're supposed to try to follow those with laws and regulation. So what do? Which way do they lean? Often it comes down to their political views. It often comes down to whose vote they're trying to win. I wish it didn't, but that's probably the case. We would rather the government and economists and business leaders make practical decisions, but often this balance leans more towards what votes do I need? And people see that, people understand that, and people get very mad on both sides. And even times when their own side makes the decision that they don't like. People want solutions. People want you to figure it out, but we understand it's an impossible task because favoring regulation hurts business and productivity in the economy. And favoring the economy hurts the safety of a worker. So there's a balance. There is no solution. There's only trade-offs. What cost are you willing to bear? What burden are you willing to bear to get the benefit? You cannot win. This is economics. This is the dismal science. This is disappointing. It's not the answer you want, but you have to accept that you're not going to get what you want. And you got to take the best that you can get. Perfect is the enemy of good. You just try to do as good as you can. Don't try to be perfect because you ruin things. So what people just need to realize possibly is, hey, instead of seeking solutions, how about the cost isn't bad? We benefit, we don't bear an enormous cost. Maybe we just don't mess things up, government. That seems like a more better, if that's such a thing, action. Instead of yelling at the government and telling you what to do, maybe you just allow some things to happen. Maybe you allow some regulation. Maybe you accept some of the costs. Can't have it completely your way. You got to get along with some of the laws and regulations. On certain days, you'll hate the laws and regulations. Some days, you'll appreciate the laws and regulations. It's just the way that it is. It is the Goldilocks situation. The best that we can do is to get in that Goldilocks range. Not too hot, not too cold. Maybe not just right, but not on the extreme ends with your laws. Not over-regulated. Not incredibly burdensome. Not completely involved. But also, there are times when we need a third party. We need the government to step in and protect consumers and workers. There's sometimes in the free market where people need some interjection of the government. So you try to find that balance in between, and you hope that when you're finding the balance, you do so for the right reasons and not political reasons. So what happens is the law is passed. Regulations are written, making the law enforceable, and all the fines and stipulations and how the law will go into play and how it'll be enforced and exactly what companies need to do. And then there are various agencies like the FDA and OSHA and the FAA. Then read the law, write the regulation, and then go out into America, walk into the stores, walk into the factories, walk into the households, and make sure that people are following those regulations. And they fine people and they sue people, they take people to court. They shut companies down. They close products off. They take the law and bring it to life. They make sure that the regulation is being followed. Real quick run through of some of them. The Consumer Product Safety Commission makes sure that whatever it is you're drinking out of that bottle right now, whether it's Gatorade or an energy drink, that it's not going to cause sudden death. The EPA makes sure that factories and firms and even households are abiding by environmental standards and not polluting the earth, which would hurt everyone else. FAA makes sure our planes are safe. FDIC watching the banks, making sure they're not going to cause the next panic. And so on and so forth. The FDA is supposed to make sure that our food is safe and the pharmaceutical products that we consume are the right ones. And so it goes on. That is regulation. Do you like it? Do you not? You kind of got to deal with it. You in between? You're on the fence? Seems like a suitable place to be. Some days you jump over the fence, some days you fall over the fence, but for the most part, you're on the fence. But be able to give evidence why you're on the fence.